On this episode of Careers in York, we have two guests who will share their insights on job interviews. Mastering the job interview is an important part of your job search. Joining us are Zack and Tanya to share their expertise and tips on job interviews. Welcome to both of you to Careers in York.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zack, if I could start with you, how should someone prepare for an interview, get ready for that big day?
I think the most important part of preparing is coming to an agency such as ours where we can do a mock preparation interview on videotape. That way the candidate, the job seeker, can see themselves during the interview. We actually have the television monitor facing them so they can see themselves as the camera records. As well, they can also review their interview techniques at home. We give them a DVD copy. We also provide ongoing interview coaching, including interview techniques for telephone follow-up, which we think is the most important part.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I actually did practice that once. I did a tape of an interview. It was very surprising what you actually see, how you look. Tanya, I understand you're looking for some work and have gone through the interview cycle. Did you do this video test of an interview?
Yes, I did.
How was it for you?
It was a little nervousing because you're right there. It's like right in front of you. You can see yourself. But it was a good experience, though, because I would mess up and then he'd make me do it again and then we'd do it over again. It was tedious, but it was good. It really helped definitely with the process.
And so you felt more prepared?
Definitely more prepared, because when you watch yourself, you see the way you're speaking. You need to slow down a little, make sure you're smiling all the time, looking at the interviewer. It's excellent.
Well, it's a good idea. Now, someone walks into a job interview, meets the employer for the first time. How should you start off?
I think the most important component in the interview is that you should observe your interviewer. Try to mimic some of the gestures and the posture, certain behaviors. Most importantly, I instruct all of my candidates to wait until the interviewer has extended their hand for the handshake at the beginning and at the end of the interview, to monitor the gestures and behaviors to make sure that they're in sync and almost identical to those of the interviewer themselves. I really believe that familiarity breeds positivity.
Well, it's good. You're right, to let the employer kind of take the lead in how the discussion is going to go and asking some of the questions. Have you been in some interviews, Tanya, where you've had some difficult questions asked of you?
Yes, I have. Most recently, I had an interview process. They asked me a question about what are your negative factors that you'd bring, like what do you see as a negative? And it's sometimes a little difficult, but Zack prepared me for the questions that how to answer it appropriately, so I managed to get through it perfectly.
Well, it's a good example, because I think there are a lot of employers that do ask questions in that vein.
Yeah.
What are your weaknesses, or
strengths.
Would you take a training program? What kind of skills would you want to upgrade? And
exactly.
you kind of wonder, is this a bit of an open-ended question? How do you coach people to handle those difficult ones like that?
Well, normally after the interview, as well as at the beginning, we give them an actual interview preparation sheet, this one here, as well as a follow-up question sheet and the follow-up via telephone interview. So they have all of the questions that we've gone over during the interview on hand whenever they're going to need them. Let's say right before the interview, they could review them, and also when they're doing the telephone interview, they have a script which to follow to make sure that they know what they're doing. It's not that we're coaching them to be trickful or untrue. It's to make sure that they're presenting their best skills right from the beginning and always putting their best foot forward. So even though it's coaching, it's still up to the individual, the applicant, to stand on their own feet.
Now, Tanya, if you've been in an actual interview and you're sort of finished, what makes you feel really good? Like you feel like, oh, I did great at that interview?
Because I know for myself the way that I'm presenting myself, just because of all the preparation that Zack has done for me. So I know that the questions that they ask me is everything that I reviewed in the interview questions before. So I'm fully prepared. So I'm like, yes, definitely, I got that for sure.
And have you done research on the companies themselves prior to the interview?
Yeah, I do a little bit of research, just so you're going in with prior knowledge. You're not going in there not knowing anything about the company. You want to go knowledgeable about the company as well as be prepared for the interview as well. So that's part of it.
Good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Zach, one thing I'm curious about a little bit is how to dress for an interview. There's a lot of companies that are very formal and they wear suits as their business attire. Other companies are a bit more casual. Any guidance on what an interview candidate should do in terms of appropriate dress?
In our process, we instruct all of our candidates, regardless of the position to which they're applying, to dress their best. For men, to always wear a suit, regardless of, even if it's a clerical job, whether it's making French fries at a local restaurant or what have you. We always want them to present in the best possible light, so we instruct them to wear a suit with a tie, proper socks, dress shoes. And for women, we instruct them to dress very conservatively, in some cases to wear a dress or a pantsuit, a skirt and blouse, but always to be very modest and professional, and always to dress their best, as though they're going almost to a wedding.
Yeah, very good suggestion. Better to be a bit overdressed than underdressed. Well, Tanya, Zack, thank you very much for joining us on Careers in York. I appreciate you sharing your insights with our viewers.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, Julia uncovers golf course careers right here in York Region.